morning, colleagues, and welcome to APSE Scotland's 2022 online soft facilities management seminar. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Councillor Jim Roberts, East Ayrshire Council. I'm the chair of the APSE Soft FM Advisory Group here in Scotland. It has been such a difficult few years for all, but our soft FM services have been at the sharp end of the COVID-19 response since the beginning, while continuing to look at the many policy developments emerging. Services continue to innovate and evolve in order to continue to meet the needs of our communities.
We make the food system in a way so that as many people as possible in Scotland can enjoy a healthy and sustainable diet, can afford that diet, and that we do that in a way that doesn't mess up the planet, doesn't mess up the environment, is good for animals, is good for workers, and brings the whole different bits of the food system together. Because when you look at who's responsible for food in Scotland, whether that's national government or local government, what we do know is it goes across lots and lots and lots of different departments.
West Lothian established a Feeling the Pinch fund, and that was to support people that were maybe above the threshold with one-off unexpected costs. As you know, that for the example, the Scottish Welfare Fund, that's got quite strict eligibility criteria, but some people that were maybe working but just didn't qualify for free school meals, they needed a wee bit extra support, so this fund helped to support that. Because they have identified an increase in numbers of people coming in to access advice and support.
To give you a flavour of what Edinburgh has done, I joined the took on the role last April, and prior to that, I think were one of the first cities and places in Scotland to be acknowledged through the Soil Association as being a sustainable food place, and useful as a tool to emphasise the collaboration, emphasise the networking, and also ensure that we've got a framework for our ambitions.
So this little diagram is something we worked on, and we've engaged with facilities managers in Ayrshire and the procurement teams. It's not really driving as fast as it needs to because we're just building that trust and understanding. So it's a simple model, but the challenge is Ayrshire has been at the forefront of food and drink procurement. But the challenge I would like to set is has the low-hanging fruit already been plucked or picked? Is there things we need to do smarter? And I think it was mentioned, just because you're buying from a local butcher or a local wholesaler, does it mean you're actually buying locally? So
what did good look like then in terms of coronavirus controls in schools? And again, predicated on the basis that our knowledge of SARS-CoV-2, the virus, was developing all the time, was incomplete, and that even the best applied controls couldn't guarantee zero transmission in each environment. In general, though, a realistic, detailed risk assessment was seen to be very useful in establishing what was possible in each environment, coupled with effective implementation, and then checking controls implemented were maintained effectively. However, it really was a question of making the best of what was available, certainly over the past 2 years. So, for example, maximising ventilation as far as possible with the systems you had in place, without creating freezing classrooms, wind tunnels, and not always easy to achieve, it'd be fair to say.
So one of the things we did at the end of 2020 was ask 5 consultancies to consider what they thought of what they thought the Office of the Future would look like. And we asked them to think of it in its widest terms. So we asked them to think about technologies, workspace, products and materials. So what did they think that would look like? And I'm just going to share one really quickly with you just now, which was by Forum Design, if we could move to the next slide. And I'm just going to read this out. So Forum came up with their Office of the Future. They were given 450 square metres of office space, and they were asked to think about what that would look like. So you can see the entrance at the top right. So people come straight into a kitchen space, straight into a social space.
We've heavily used the council's iLearn training platform. Now that's something that we hadn't really used before because most of our staff didn't have access to IT, but we've now kind of found a workaround to enable everyone to log on to common computers, desktop computers within schools, and it's given us a great opportunity to expand the training we do on iLearn. We've struck up a relationship with BICS. That's something we hadn't kind of dealt with before. And now for the first time we have kind of cleaning training and cleaning qualifications, the licence to practice qualifications with PICS, and we've got our own kind of in-house trainers and assessors for that. And I'm pleased to say that we were awarded an award in the recent annual awards, the Commitment to PICS Training and Assessment and Education Award. So that was a good acknowledgement of the work that we've been carried out.
Combining that with the fact that, in our opinion, one of the greatest things about a janitor's role is when they really integrate into the school and become part of that community. And we felt that this would be lost by having somebody mobile and covering so many sites. So this is how we ended up on the peripatetic role, because what we wanted to do was recruit a few janitors, split the sites between them geographically, which would then allow us to recruit someone local, cutting down the travel, but also meant that we could schedule the janitors to visit each location on a more set frequency. We were looking at once or twice a fortnight, which meant they could still have that same ownership at that location that a set janitor would have, and it would allow them to still feel part of that team.
All the presentations from today will be made available on the APSE website, and the team will send a link on to yourselves post-event. So take care everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week. All the best.